Cultivating Character. In the last lecture, we looked at the role of ethics in our lives. We saw how important it is to think about one's life as a whole and how one will choose to live one's life. We saw that ethics is a code of values and principles one uses to guide one's life and actions. It helps us decide formally who we want to be and tells us what we need to do to become that person. Embracing a sound ethical code is not all one needs to do, however. Just knowing what is good is not enough to make one good. One also has to put one's ethics into practice. One needs to make good decisions and do good deeds in the world. In his famous treatise on ethics, Aristotle said that nothing good arises in us naturally. We acquire virtue and goodness through habituation. Quote, "We become just by doing just actions, brave by doing brave actions." Unquote. What Aristotle is pointing out is that we create ourselves, our character, by action, specifically by repetitive action. One's character is the combination of traits we develop by means of our action, which define who we are. It is the combination of traits we acquire in regard to the important areas of our life, our morality, our work ethic, our self-esteem, attentiveness, knowledge, emotional intelligence, social characteristics, etc. Character traits are like habits. Both, for instance, are enduring states of a person. But character traits are different from habits in a few important ways. For one, our character is an important part of who we are, in a way that our habits are not. We can think of habits, in other words, as being detached from the person possessing them, in a way that character traits are not. To grasp this, think about an undesirable habit you or someone you know might have. Perhaps it is something your mother, father, girlfriend, or boyfriend gets on you about. Maybe it's chewing with your mouth open. Maybe it's always going to bed late. Maybe it's not paying close attention to directions when they're given. Maybe it's saying the words or like too much when you speak. If this is a habit you have, you can probably easily imagine yourself without this habit. You probably also know that this habit is not necessarily a part of you. In fact, for those of you who play sports or some type of performing arts, you may have encountered a coach who has told you have acquired a bad habit in some area of your performance. This, he says, is preventing you from being your best. It could be that you don't grip the racket, bat, or ball correctly. Maybe your stance is off. Maybe you're striking the ball in the wrong place. But if you're dedicated and willing to practice, you can correct this habit your coach tells you. Habits, then, are not something that define you. If you have acquired some bad habit in your life, you probably know that if you put your mind to it, you can change the many habits that you have. All that would be required is mental focus and action to retrain our behavior. Character traits run deeper than habits. Unlike mere habits, character traits are an essential part of our identity. To grasp this clearly, think of people who have well-defined character traits and try to imagine them without these traits. It would be very difficult, if not impossible. Who is Leonidas, the famous Spartan military leader, except the person who courageously led 300 of the best soldiers against hundreds and thousands of invading Persians in the Greco-Persian Wars? Who is Jesus but the person who renounced everything in order to serve and sacrifice those less fortunate? And who is Socrates but a man relentlessly dedicated to philosophical discussion and critical thinking? All of these men, in fact, died championing their ideas, values, and principles. They created their character, and their character defined who they were. This brings us to a second point about the difference between character traits and habits. Character traits are largely determined by us. This doesn't mean that they always and completely are chosen by us, but we play a large role in shaping our character. Habits, on the other hand, are largely unchosen and often acquired by random chance or accident. This makes sense because when we do something inappropriate, we often use as an excuse the phrase, "Sorry, it's a bad habit." Habits tend to be mindless, accidental behaviors we engage in because of our past behavior has made this behavior easier to perform. Habits, then, whether good or bad, are automatized behaviors that come easily to us. While habits are generally acquired mindlessly, they can nevertheless require a good amount of focus and mental effort to change. Still, character traits run deeper than mere habits. In many cases, deeply embedded character traits can never be changed. As mentioned earlier, some individuals have such strong character traits that they're unwilling to live in a world where these traits cannot be expressed. Think again of men like Jesus, Socrates, Patrick Henry, Martin Luther King. The reason character traits are so strong in those who have them are that, unlike habits, they are intentionally chosen. Character traits are not mindless, but mindfully programmed, and this is why we identify a person with their character. Now, why should one develop a good character? Since one's character is a product of one's moral decisions and actions, one might as well ask, why be moral? And to a large extent, we answered this last lecture. As a review, however, we likened ethics to a long-term plan for one's life to live happily and successfully. Without a plan, success is just as unlikely as finding one's way across country to a certain destination one wants to go. And you never hear of somebody trying to take a journey across country saying, we don't need a map, we'll just figure it out. No, we need maps, we need plans, we need ideas, we need guidance in life. And this is why we need ethics. In another sense, though, we can ask what the practical benefits of a good character will bring us, because there is good reason to develop good character. To answer this, think about the types of people and businesses you admire, trust, and patron regularly. Think of your best friend. Why do you feel you can confide in him? Why do you go to the doctor you trust so much when you are sick? Think of your favorite restaurant or product. Why do you go to that restaurant? Why do you buy the latest, often most expensive edition of a particular product that you like? The answer is that a person or a company with good character is one you can trust. They are someone that has proven themselves over and over again to have a track record of being reasonable, reliable, honest, hardworking, and genuine in trying to build a mutually beneficial relationship with you. A person who has good character has the core elements that will make him successful in life and business, and people will seek him out for partnership, business, and friendship for all the reasons just mentioned.